Welcome back, Green Thumbs, to episode 15 of The Green Zone. As always, I am your host, Jimmy Havener, and we'll be taking you through Week 16 of the NFL. I'll be breaking down head-to-head pick'ems, follow that up with fantasy stardoms and situms. I'm going to be helping you guys out with your finals. You should be in the championship rounds by now. If not, then I guess maybe you're in the semifinals, but you're definitely an important game in your standard fantasy formats. And then I'll be following that up with, and as always, I'll be helping you in daily fantasy. We'll follow that up with our betting segment, and stay tuned for an official bonus content segment where I'll go over some NFL topics and stories. Just like last week, guys, YouTube, it will not be available, but if you go through the Podbean app, which is a free podcast app, you look for The Green Zone, all one word. It'll be a bonus segment that you can find on there. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's kick it off. Oh, and happy holidays, by the way, guys. All right. Boom and boom. For the viewers that are only listening and can't see me, you got to go to YouTube to see the Christmas cheer that I got going on here. We are back in studio, by the way, guys. We no longer are doing this out of my house. Studio is back open for us. Yeah, welcome. Nice to have you here. Okay, guys, let's go over our head-to-head pick'ems. First up, guys, we got the Redskins at the Texans. This one seems like a no-brainer to me, Redskins at the Titans. Redskins at the Texans would be a no-brainer as well. But Redskins at the Titans, guys, I'll go through it if you really want me to. This is a game that's taking place tomorrow, late on a Friday evening here in studio. I like the Titans. It's in Tennessee. It's an important game for the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are the better team, so there's three things right there that are adding up for the Titans. For the Redskins, look, they played honorable last week. They played against a team who has quit already on the season in the Jacksonville Jaguars. This week, they're not going to be so lucky. And so their glory for a week is now going to fade. And they'll snap back into reality as Josh Johnson shows why he hasn't played as a starting quarterback in the NFL for several years now. So, Tennessee Titans take this one fairly easy in Washington. Guys, we got some weird matchups this week. We've also got some, in my opinion, no-brainers, and then some weird matchups that are just kind of hard to predict as some AFC and NFC teams facing off here. Okay, guys, next we've got the Ravens at the Chargers. I personally have gone back and forth on this one. I haven't talked to our resident Ravens expert and my brother-in-law, Corey, but I'm actually going to go with the Chargers here. The Chargers are a team that people are looking at and saying, hey, that's a team that could be Super Bowl bound at this point. I'm not there yet. I'm not buying it yet. The Chargers are a team that always find a way to shoot themselves in the foot. So right now they're playing really well. They've got a lot of guys healthy. Melvin Gordon's coming back. They're in Los Angeles. I know the Ravens, it's an important game for them, and they need to win this game. But I just think the Chargers have too much. Ultimately, there's too much talent on the Chargers' end. This is a more important game for the Ravens than it is for the Chargers. Guys, before you get all up in arms, I understand how the AFC West is looking right now. I understand that it's going to be field position, home field advantage as far as whoever wins that division between the Chargers and the Chiefs. However, the Ravens are in the hunt, and if they want to remain in the hunt and possibly make it into the playoffs, they're going to have to win this game. So it is slightly more important for the Ravens. However, if you're that Chargers team, do you really want to go down and play your first round in Seattle, the Chargers or the Chiefs? So I guess you can make an argument that it's equally important. And if it's an equally important game, it's in Los Angeles. I like to side with the more talented team and the team with the Hall of Fame quarterback in Phillip Rivers. All right, guys, next we got the Buccaneers at the Cowboys. Look, I picked the Cowboys pretty big last week. I even personally bet on them myself, and they kind of crapped the bed there. So it's hard to take them 2 weeks in a row, but honestly, there's no way that I could take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Dallas Cowboys, so I will go with the Cowboys again. America's team, my buttocks, but I still like the Cowboys to win and beat the Buccaneers in this one. I mean, let's face it, guys. What are the Buccaneers really playing for? Nothing. What are the Cowboys playing for? Playoff berth, playoff seeding, a lot of stuff. Who's the better team? Cowboys? I mean, do I really have to go over this that much more? You guys should know better. Come on, stay with me, Green Thumbs. Here we go. Pick it up. Vikings versus Lions is the next game, guys. Same situation. Important game for the Vikings. Lions quit about 3 weeks ago. The mustache or the beard, I guess, is he's playing to remain relevant as far as coaches go, but that doesn't mean his team is going to respond the way that he wants them to, right? So Vikings win this one. They win it fairly easy. It should be a tough division game this late in the season. The reason the NFL has stacked up division games later on in the season is because they felt like if they do that, these are going to be games of higher importance, and if you put them at the end of the season, it makes it that much more interesting. Well, you're also going to end up with some duds like this when you do that, and I think the Vikings win easy in Detroit. Falcons at Panthers, guys. This is a crapshoot in my opinion. Every time I pick the Panthers, they lose. But the Falcons just aren't as good. The Panthers are the better team. It's in Carolina, but the Panthers are just... I mean, it's a disappointing week after a disappointing week. It's hard to bet on them, but in a straight-up pick'ems, guys, I'm going to go with the Panthers. I realize the Falcons are getting some of that defense back, the defense that they lost to injury early in the season. The Falcons don't really have anything to play for. I mean, it's in Carolina. At least Cam and the guys will want to give their fans something to cheer for at the very least. Christian McCaffrey's a stud. There is not a single person in that frequent flyer zone that the Falcons have created that can stop Christian. In both the passing game and on the ground. I'm going to side with the Panthers there. Texans at Eagles, guys. This one's interesting because originally you would say, well, the Texans have this one no-brainer. After last week, however, and the Eagles played like the defending champions should play, you start to think maybe there's something more to this Eagles team than I originally thought, right? They seem dead in the water, done for the year. Give them any D word you want there. It wasn't looking good, but now all of a sudden they got Nick Foles playing, and there's new life. Will the Eagles fly again? I don't think so. I'm going hook 'em horns. I know that's a Texas Longhorns thing there, stealing that for the Houston Texans this week, but that's a cow noise, by the way, guys. Texans win this one, and they win it easy. No, I'm just kidding. This will actually be a tough game, guys. I do like Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. We will talk about them later on in fantasy. I think the Eagles are getting a little bit too much hype here because of last week's game. However, they will play the Texans tough. The Texans eke out a win there in Philly. Watch out for batteries there, Santa. Okay, next we've got the Giants at the Colts, guys. Really, I mean, the Colts, they're kind of on a tear right now. Very impressive win last week against the Cowboys. I managed to pick the team that I thought was going to win because they were going to actually play defense. And then it was the opposite team that actually did it. The Colts and the Cowboys, if you didn't see it, they squared off last week. So far, throughout this year and last couple of years, whenever a good offensive team squares off against a good defensive team, you've heard it here many times on the Green Zone, the good offensive team wins. But last week I went with the defensive team and the Cowboys, and it ended up being that the defensive team was the Colts. Yes, the Colts. They're the ones who hit hard and hit often against those Cowgirls, and they left them crying, baby. They smashed them. But this week it's going to be back in Indy against a lesser talented team in the Giants. It just goes to show you that the NFC the NFC East is not as good as many people predicted. And it's just a weak division. So somebody's got to come out of there a winner. It's probably going to be the Cowboys, but that doesn't mean they're that good. I bought into the hype a little bit too much. Colts are who we're talking about right now, and they beat the Giants in Indy. Andrew Luck, bring it back, baby. Next, we got the Bengals and the Browns, guys. This would have been an interesting matchup if the Bengals didn't have an injured Andy Dalton and an injured A.J. Green, and they're spiraling down the toilet, right? But it still is somewhat interesting, right? Because the Browns are actually in the playoff hunt. I can't believe I'm saying that. 2018, mark it down on your calendars, guys. The Cleveland Browns are in the playoff hunt. Now, they probably need an assortment of things to happen to help them out, but hell, who cares? This is a laughing stock of the NFL for many years. Now they got a shot to actually be relevant. I'm taking the Browns at home to beat the Bengals. I know that's not an upset pick, but to hear myself just kind of out loud say that I'm taking the Browns or predicting the Browns to win, crazy. Okay, we got the Bills at the Patriots, guys. Woo! A little bit of Red Bull for me here, guys. It is late. It's very late. We got the Bills at the Pats, guys. Originally, you would think, Pats, no problem. I would think that too, and I'm going to say that the Pats win this game. I just want to say that catchphrase coming here right at you on the Green Zone. This will be closer than people think. The Bills are an up-and-coming team. They're a rising type team, if you will. They've got a young quarterback. They got a good defense. The number 1 pass rated defense in the NFL. So don't expect Tom Brady to have a huge day. But it's like I said last week, guys. If you got the Pats in December versus a team where I'm not really sure who's going to win this game, an important game, give me the Pats, give me the GOAT in December all day long. Now, it didn't work out last week as the Steelers beat the Pats. But that game had a little asterisk next to it, right? It was better for the NFL if the Steelers won that game. You heard it here first on the Green Zone. But it's really not important for the Bills to win. At this point, it is more important for the NFL for the Patriots to win. They need the Patriots in the playoffs to have that sort of matchup of like the rising guard and the, passing the old legends, right? That sort of thing between maybe the Chiefs and the Steelers. I mean, Chiefs and Pats or Steelers and Pats, something like that, right? Some sort of storyline that we can all follow along for. Read between the lines here, guys. The bottom line, Patriots win the game in New England, but it's a pretty close game. Bills, I like where you're headed. Packers at Jets, guys, in a game the who gives a crap game of the week, as I like to coin it. Packers, I mean, they've got nothing to play for. Neither do the Jets. I actually think this game will be closer than people think just because the Jets have a young quarterback. And Sam Darnold, he's going to try his darndest. Doesn't he look like a guy that would say something like, I'll try my darndest to win this game. He will try his darndest to win this game, but he probably won't. I'm going to go with the Packers going into the Meadowlands and beating the Jets on their home field. Sorry, Jets, but Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold, not really a coin flip if you ask me. Aaron Rodgers. Jaguars and Dolphins, guys. You know how I feel about the Jaguars. Rawr, they've given up. They gave up a few weeks back. The Dolphins, they're a weird team. They're a middling team, an 8-8 type team, a 7-9, a 6 whatever. They're a middle tier team. And they've got Tannehill back. Before they lost Tannehill, they maybe look like a wild card possible team squeaking in there at 9-7, but he missed too many games. Anyways, he's back. He's playing. He wants to show that he's a good starting quarterback in the NFL. The Jaguars have literally nothing to play for, and if you watch any of their football, believe it or not, guys, I watch every single game around the league. The Jaguars have quit. So, Dolphins win that one in Miami, where, battle of the Florida teams. And, Next, we got the Bears and the 49ers, guys. All right, here we go. 49ers, baby. I have actually lost money the last couple of weeks on the 49ers and them winning. Yes, I know you're never supposed to bet against your favorite team, but they've won me so much money this year by losing, and now they're finally winning. Look, there's nothing better than a Bears-Niners matchup. There's nothing that screams 80s more than a Bears-Niners matchup. These used to be two Titans back during that era. However, they have fallen quite a bit. Well, I should say the Niners have. The Bears, they're looking good. Some people like them to make it to the Super Bowl. They're a very balanced team. They've got a great defense. They got a good offense, creative offense. They know how to take advantage of the fact that Mitchell Trubisky is not the best quarterback in the league, so they utilize his legs. They utilize the weapons around him. They utilize the short game for him. Look, I understand the hype that's happening for Nicky Mullins. I really do, and you know what? I love it. This is a kid who tries his hardest. He really does, and he's practiced so hard that he deserves a little bit of success. Seriously, guys, it is the David versus Goliath story. It is the underdog story if Hollywood ever wrote one. I mean, I don't know what better than an undrafted free agent walking on as a third-string practice squad quarterback and having success multiple games in the NFL. He's doing great. That said, not a chance. Liquidate all assets. There is not a chance the Niners win this game. The hype out here is that there can actually be some quarterback controversy next year between Jimmy G and Nicky Mullins. Pump the brakes, ladies and gentlemen. You actually have to watch the game. Do not go off of the box score, okay? We're not living back in times where you can only look at the newspapers, guys. Look at the film. Watch the game. Okay, look, I'm going to give the guy credit for the fact that he's good at climbing. He's gotten better at climbing the pocket. That's something C.J. Beathard never did. Great, that's good. That's step number one for a quarterback that needs to improve. He's doing really well at making sure that he makes quick reads, right? Gets the ball out of his hands quickly. When you have a struggling center and Rich Westberg, you have to have that ball out of your hands quickly because the pressure's constantly coming up the middle. He's reading. He's actually looking off of his number one target, and then coming back to his number two target and snapping the throw, snapping the ball, and getting it into tight windows. I love all of that, guys. But if you really, really dissect it, he has yet to make a deep throw. He has a problem throwing outside the hash. He's got a weaker than normal arm, and he throws about 1 to 2 balls each week that should be picked. So, I mean, come on, guys. Look, I love the story as much as anyone else. I love the kid. I really do. Any kid who does as well as he's done and then cries and embraces his father in a hug after his very first NFL start and win, look, I'm always going to be on that guy's side. I have a son myself, but he's not an NFL caliber starting quarterback. He's a great backup, and I'm glad that the Niners have him, but let's pump the brakes a little bit. There is not a chance that a team that is in top 5 in both rush defense and pass defense comes into Levi's Stadium and allows little Nicky Mullins to beat him. Not going to happen, guys. So go ahead, take the Bears straight up. Long way of me saying, I promise the Niners aren't going to screw me 3 weeks in a row in my predictions. They will lose. Liquidate all assets. Okay, guys. Then we got the Rams at the Cardinals. By the way, guys, I am a huge Niner fan, and I do not mean to come off as somebody who's constantly hating on the Niners. It's just I'm also a realist, okay? And I will be by the Niners through thick and thin. I'm not talking trash and then not supporting them. I've been to several games this year, and will continue to go to several games every year afterwards. I don't know why I'm defending myself here on the Green Zone. It's just I believe I talk negatively about them quite often. Shanahan has done a hell of a job making something out of nothing there in San Francisco, and I'm excited about our future once we get some actual starting talent on the roster. All right, moving along. Rams at Cardinals, guys. Seriously, Rams. Rams go into Arizona. They win. The Cardinals quit a few weeks back. The name of the quarterback who escaped me last week is Josh Rosen. I don't know why I couldn't figure out his name. He's the rookie quarterback that I think will be the best out of all the rookie quarterbacks that were drafted this year. Although it is looking like Baker Mayfield may be that one. But, hey, I got to stick with my original prediction. Bottom line is, Rams go into Arizona. They kick the crap out of the Cardinals there, and they come home with a W. Steelers at Saints. The Saints go marching on, just like I've said all year, guys. They beat the Steelers. Look, I know a lot of you are on the Steelers jock right now. I get it. They just had a huge win. But now they're coming off of a big win. Typical letdown game. They've got another big game against the Saints in New Orleans, guys. Where do the Saints play amazingly in December? New Orleans. The Saints play fantastic at home late in the year. Okay? That's fact. Look it up. Sean Payton and the Saints have a ridiculous record at home late in the year, either during the playoffs or during December as the season goes. Where does Big Ben struggle? On the road. All right. The Saints have an interesting stat. Now, they are the number 28th rated pass defense in the NFL. They're the number 1 rated rush defense in the NFL. I don't know about you guys, but that's very interesting to me. So, what do the Steelers like to do? They like to run the ball to open up the pass game. They like to run the ball so that the play action works, so that they can get it deep to Antonio Brown, little pop passes to Vance McDonald, or swing it back to the running back out of the backfield. They'll even open up the passing game by going with short passes to the running back out of the backfield. It's almost very similar to what the Patriots like to run offensively. Here's the thing, guys. With that rush defense for the Saints, the Steelers are never going to get that pass game going. It's just not going to happen. I think the Saints win this one, and I think they win it fairly easy. We'll have to see, though. It's just too much is adding up against the Steelers in that one. Give me the Saints for my money. Then we got the Chiefs and the Seahawks, guys. This is one that I actually wrote down initially. The Chiefs. Scratched it out. Here's my little cheat sheet if you want to see it. I don't know. It looks like we got a terrible glare there. I don't think you guys can see it. But trust me, what it says is that I originally picked the Chiefs to win this game. Then I scratched them out and I put the Seahawks, which tells me I expect this to be a close game and I expect it to be anybody's game. The reason I'm going to give the Seahawks the edge, yes, they just laid an egg in Levi's in Santa Clara against the Niners. But it's a bounce-back game for him, guys. Russell Wilson is a competitor. As much as I don't like to say it as a Niner fan, he is a competitor, and he's a die-hard competitor. Now he's at home in front of that crowd, that stadium that is built to echo noise. They sometimes pump in their own noise. That's going to be a tough game for Kansas City. Now, I know Mahomes, he's almost inhuman sometimes, and he should be fine. He seems inflappable, but I got to side with the team that wants vengeance, needs to keep their playoff hopes alive, and has home field advantage. I'm going Seahawks in a surprise upset over the Chiefs there. Pause for dramatic effect / pause while I take a drink. Then we've got the Broncos at the Raiders game. In my opinion, guys, this is a crapshoot. I'm not going to pick the Raiders again. For the first time this year, I picked them last week against the Bengals. They lost to a Jeff Driscoll-led Cincinnati Bengals team. They have the worst rush defense in the NFL. I expect big things from Phillip Lindsay this week, like I usually do. I love that kid. Broncos go into Oakland in the last game played in Oakland and beat the Raiders. Yes, the last game possibly played in Oakland, as it is the Raiders' last home game, and the Raiders are looking to move. Latest news out here is Raiders are going to be playing next year in San Francisco at AT&T Park, where the San Francisco Giants play. Sorry, Raider fans, they just don't give a shit about you. Alrighty then, moving on. Let's go ahead and, hey, stop the music back there. Oh, thanks, Chip. Okay, thank you very much. Ooh, good timing. Okay, guys, that'll push us right into fantasy football. Now, you may be thinking, fantasy football? My championship's already over. I don't care. We're giving you advice for daily fantasy, which is one of the most popular sporting avenues that we have nowadays. And we're also giving you advice for your championship game. If you've made it this far, you probably know what you're doing. However, you may have gotten lucky, as I noticed last week, or it seems like this season in particular is a season for lucky fantasy players. As last week, the top 5 running back and receivers were guys that most of us haven't played all year. And if you had on your team, you weren't strategically playing them. You just weren't that good. So, this is the year, the luck year, or the year of the underdog. Let's call it that. That sounds fancier and better. I'm not bitter. I'm in the championship. I promise. I got lucky in one of my leagues. All right, moving on quickly. Okay, guys, here are our Week 16 stardoms, and as you know, record last week and our pick'ems real quick here as I scroll to find that in my little cheat sheet. Okay, Week 15 we went 9-6. That's better than 8-7, but it is not what we're looking for, guys. We got to get back to our average. I expect a bounce back week this week. I expected one last week, but I promise it's happening this week. Yes, feel it. Like it's right in my neck. Shout out Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. Alrighty then, guys. Now we've got Week 16 starters. We'll start with the quarterbacks. As always, I'm going to give you who I think are good quarterbacks to either play as a value pick or quarterbacks that you should play in standard. Guys that you should target because they're cheap, or guys that you should pay out for because they've got big things coming. I'm also going to give you the Fantasy Pros, their Fantasy Pros ranking. FantasyPros.com accumulates all the expert picks and ratings, takes them and puts them in one spot and attaches one number to that player. I think that's a good way to give you guys an idea of where these guys stand, according to not just me, but several people. And as always, I do not look at Fantasy Pros till after I make my picks, because where's the fun in that? Why wouldn't you guys just go to Fantasy Pros if I was doing that, right? Exactly. So if our numbers match up, that just makes it that much more stronger of a pick, in my opinion. You guys can be the final judge of that, but let's start off with quarterbacks. And right off the bat, I am going to give you a value starter, and that would be Russell, my favorite, Wilson. It's Russellmania all over again. We're going crazy here in Seattle. Pump in the noise. Anyways, guys, the bottom line is Russell Wilson's going against the Kansas City Chiefs. And for those of you who tuned in to my bonus content, one of the topics last week was how absolutely atrocious and terrible the Kansas City secondary is. They can't guard anybody. They don't have... It's actually comical if you watch how quickly their defenders are not able to cover a wide receiver. That you give them 2.5 seconds and the receiver is already creating separation. Their their pass rush is actually decent. They're getting in there in an average of 3 seconds, and their DBs cannot cover for those 3 seconds. It's crazy bad, guys. It really is. It actually frustrates me because Mahomes and that Kansas City offense and Andy Reid, who has the tag on him that he can't win important games or playoff games, is unfairly losing games that that offense has done more than they should to win. So, anyways, frustrating to watch, but not my problem as I'm not a Chiefs fan. Russell Wilson isn't either, and he's going against those Chiefs at home in a bounce-back game as a competitor that I think Russell Wilson is, who is very competitive, doesn't like to lose. I just see Russell Wilson going off in this one. They will ride Chris Carson in that running game as they realize that was their problem last week. They tried to pass too much against the Niners. But I still like Wilson throwing a couple and maybe scrambling for one as well. Good value pick there. He's not going for a lot in daily fantasy. A couple other... Actually, all my quarterbacks this week are value picks, guys. And that... FP ranking. We're just called the FP rank, Fantasy Pros ranking. FP ranking for Russell Wilson is 5 this week. Let me turn that down just a little bit. Then we got Deshaun Watson, guys, and Dak Prescott is my next pick after that. Just giving it away to you guys. Deshaun Watson has a plus matchup. He's going against Deshaun Watson is going against, oh gosh, I already forgot, guys, but it doesn't matter. They're going against a team that gives up a lot of points through the air. They're going against the Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are giving up, that's rushing stats. As I meander here to try to find out how much they're giving up a lot of yards through the air per game, guys. They are 31st, ranked 31st. They're giving up 280 yards per game through the air. I think Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins are both going to take advantage of this. I really do. So look out for Deshaun Watson. FP ranking is 6 for Deshaun Watson. Next, we got Dak Prescott, guys. He's in a plus matchup as well. It really is as simple as that. I just like the matchup for the Cowboys. They are going against the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers do not play defense, period. They're ranked 27th. Pass defense. That should give you an idea of how bad the Eagles are. Their pass defense is worse than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pass defense. Now, I know last week they played better, the Eagles did, and I know the Bucs have had some weeks where they played well as well. Not this week. I expect decent to good things out of both Watson and Prescott. Prescott, the FP ranking is 7th this week. So, and I did not mean to pick the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th quarterbacks according to Fantasy Pros this week, but apparently I did, as the next guy on my list is ranked 8th, and his name is Baker touchdown maker. Baker Mayfield is on my stardoms list for the 2nd week in a row, guys. I know last week he didn't really give you what you wanted. If you got him at a good value, he was fine. This week, he's got another plus matchup, and I do expect the Browns to win. They're at home, so I expect even bigger things. The Bengals, they're just like the Bucs. They don't play defense. The Bengals are terrible on defense this year, so expect big things from Baker Mayfield. All right, guys, next we got running backs. First on my list is Phillip Lindsay. You already heard about me talking about him earlier. Fantasy Pros and I don't agree on this one, as they've got his FP ranking at 13 this week. I think he gets in top 10, possibly top 5. So, Phillip Lindsay going against the Oakland Raiders, the very worst rush defense in the NFL. Very worst. I don't even need to look that up. They are giving up 106 yards. Wait, what is that? Oh my goodness. The Raiders are giving up 146.4 yards per game. Phillip Lindsay's going to take advantage of that, guys. I love the way the kid runs with passion, runs with heart. As an undrafted free agent, that's what you have to do. Yeah, looking for big things from Lindsay. Next on the list is Todd Gurley. Look at that transition, I should say. Oh, so professional right now. Anyways, Todd Gurley, FP ranking number 5 for this week, guys. When is Todd Gurley not top 5? It's always a safe bet to go with Todd Gurley, but this week I'm saying spend the money to get him. Yes, if he is one of the top dollar skill players for this week, he will have a good output for you. So spend the money to get him. I also like, as another guy who's usually top 5, very high value, Zeke Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott is a stud. He will get fed often, as the Cowboys have a plus matchup this week. I like Zeke Elliott against that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense all day. They are giving up 128.1 yards per game in Tampa. A lot of that will be given up to Zeke Elliott. His ranking is 4. Marlon Mack, guys, that's a value pick there, and it's tough with all the Colts running backs being healthy. You've got Marlon Mack, Naheem Hines. There's also somebody else there that steals them every now and again. The bottom line is, guys, it's hard to trust the Colts backfield. However, if you are going to go with one of them, they do have a plus matchup. If you are looking for a flex player, you could probably get Marlon Mack on the cheap. That's my point there. Fantasy Pros has him as the 11th rated running back of the week. As I sit up here and I magically get taller. Next on the list, guys, we've got, Nick Chubb. Fantasy Pros has Nick Chubb ranked as the 4th rated running back of the week. I expect something like that from him, some sort of output that puts him in the top 5. Nick Chubb is an NFL running back. He will do good against the Bengals. No problems there. Moving on quickly to wide receivers, guys, we got Tyler Lockett. Fantasy Pros has him as the 17th rated wide receiver of the week. That's definitely a value pick. Here's the thing. The Kansas City Chiefs cannot stop wide receivers that have speed. The minute that wide receiver takes a couple of steps, he's already 7 yards wide open. Do the math. I don't know how that works, but for some reason it does. Tyler Lockett is the fastest receiver on the Seahawks. He is rated higher than Doug Baldwin, according to Fantasy Pros. I agree. I think Lockett is the one that'll go off if the Seattle wide receivers go off, and I do believe that. So take Tyler Lockett for a good value pick. Good number 3 wide receiver if you're playing in a daily fantasy that allows that. Next, we got DeAndre Hopkins. Guys, didn't mean to shout in your ear just now there when I said next, but the bottom line is DeAndre Hopkins is top 5 receiver in the NFL, constantly underrated. He's finally got a quarterback that can consistently get him the ball. He's in a plus matchup this week. I really like DeAndre Hopkins, and I like him big. If I'm targeting certain skill players this week in fantasy, I'm definitely making sure I have either Todd Gurley or Zeke Elliott, one of the two or both, and DeAndre Hopkins is another one I'm targeting. Next, we've got Antonio Brown, guys. He's always going to be top 10. He's one of the top 3 wide receivers in the league. He's got a plus matchup on top of that. Like I said, I don't know if the Steelers are ever going to be able to open that passing game because they're not really going to get that run game going, but that never matters for Antonio Brown. His passing game is always going to be great. He'll have a handful of receptions, over 100 yards receiving, and probably a touchdown. Next, we got Amari Cooper, guys. Amari Cooper is the only receiver that the Dallas Cowboys have. When they've got a plus matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're going to utilize their number 1 wide receiver. The Bucs have continuously shown that they cannot stop the number 1 wide receiver no matter who they're going against. Take Amari Cooper, good number 3 wide receiver, good flex player if you need it. Next, guys, this is a complete value pick. It's not a shot in the dark, though. I told you I watch every single game around the NFL. Next on my list, this guy's name is Robert Foster. He's a receiver coming out of Buffalo. He is the only receiver making plays in Buffalo for Josh Allen on a consistent basis. His stats over the last 3 weeks are impressive. If you are looking for a big splash player to play at good value in your flex spot, maybe you need somebody because of injury or something like that in your championship game, Robert Foster's probably still available out there on the waiver wire. Now, he is a home run boomer bust type guy. I expect a boom for him against the Pats, who are giving up a ton of yards through the air per game, guys. They're amongst the bottom teams when it comes to pass defense. So, expect good things from Robert Foster. I mean, it is kind of a shot in the dark, guys, but I'm looking to try to give you good value here. The Pats are ranked 23rd when it comes to pass defense. They're giving up 256 yards through the air per game. If the Bills are going to have success through the air, they're going to do it with Josh Allen and Robert Foster. All right, that does it for wide receivers. Oh, rankings accordingly. Tyler Lockett, 17. DeAndre Hopkins, 1. Antonio Brown, 9. Amari Cooper, number 8. And Robert Foster, number 25. Tight ends, guys, we'll go through them quickly as they're not exciting this year. Zach Ertz, plus matchup. I like him a lot. He's another guy I target. I actually would target a tight end this week, and it is Zach Ertz. They're going to utilize the crap out of him in this game as the Saints do not have a good pass defense. Oh, I'm sorry, the Eagles aren't going against the Saints. We already saw that matchup. As the Texans do not have the best pass defense. They're ranked 26th in the NFL, guys. And Zach Ertz is the Eagles' number 1 wide receiver. Make no bones about it. He is their number 1 guy through the air there. Next, we got Jalen Samuels, guys. He's been on my stardoms list for 3 weeks in a row now, and he has performed each week. He's won many people their games that have gotten him to the championship, and you got to continue to ride that horse, guys. If you're in daily fantasy, pick this guy up and put him in your tight end slot, because after Zach Ertz and Jalen Samuels, the only tight end I could see producing this week would be Jared Cook. The other top tight ends have tough matchups, and we'll go over that when we get to the sit-ems. Jalen Samuels, with the ability to play, the versatility to be able to play tight end or running back in your fantasy daily or standard, is huge. It is a huge asset, guys. Go out and get Jalen Samuels. James Conner is not starting. He is not playing. He had the questionable tag all week, but he will not be playing for Pittsburgh. That means Samuels is going to get a boatload of carries and receptions and touches this week. Again, just like last week. He put up 140 total yards last week. He'll put up even more than that this week. I like Jalen Samuels. I mean, maybe not more. They do have a tough matchup, but it doesn't matter. If the Saints stop him on the ground, Saints can't stop the pass game. They'll utilize Samuels through the air. Put Samuels in your tight end slot in daily fantasy if you can, and it's not that expensive. Next, we got Jared Cook, guys. He's been on my stardom list for the last 2 or 3 weeks. He is the Raiders' only asset, their only skill player that's worth anything out there in Oakland. Derek Carr likes to throw the short emergency routes to him. On top of that, the Raiders have been going against some teams that have been plus matchups, so that's why Cook has been on that list, plain and simple, for the last 3 days. According to Fantasy Pros, Zach Ertz, number 2 rated tight end. Jalen Samuels, number 19, and Jared Cook, number 6. All right, that brings us to our sit-ems, guys. We're going to go through this quickly, as the reason why most of these guys are on this list is because I believe you can do better going elsewhere, and they've got tough matchups. Number 1 on the list, Tom Brady. We already talked about it. He's got a tough matchup. That's going to be hard for him to get a lot of yards through the air against that Buffalo Bills number 1 pass defense in the NFL. We're going to go over that later, guys, as I think it's hilarious how all these expert draft analysts say that you have to have pass rushers and DBs in the NFL nowadays. I'm looking at the top 10 pass defenses in the NFL with shutdown corners and a pass rush to make the quarterback get rid of it quickly. They're all bottom tier teams. What you need is a playmaker on defense. The NFL has become a league where you have to outscore your opponent. If you have somebody on the defense that has proven that he can get you the ball to increase the amount of times that your offense has and chances that they have to score the ball, then you get that guy. But it's not so much pass rushers or shutdown corners. It's guys who can pass rush and then strip the ball like Von Miller always does when he gets in there because he knows he can't hit the quarterback anymore. Or DBs that can intercept the ball. Specialty blitzers. Guys that have proven throughout their college career that they can get their hands on that ball and bring it back to the offense. That's what you need on defense. We'll go over that later in the bonus content segment for topics and stories. Number 1 on the list, Tom Brady. FP ranking 16. Next, Phillip Rivers. 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks back-to-back on my sit-ems list. Yes, there's better options elsewhere, guys. Phillip Rivers, 17 FP ranking. Then we got Jared Goff. Jared Goff, 13 FP ranking. And last, Kirk Cousins, 15 FP ranking. Those guys all have tough matchups, guys. It's just plain and simple. Then we've got running backs. James Conner was on my list. He's not playing. So that's a sit-em for sure. Lock that one in. Next, we've got Matt Breida, guys. He's a guy that has gotten some run, especially out here in the Bay Area, as a guy that will be great if he's healthy. He's never healthy, okay? So he played 70% of the football game last week, and that's the most he's played all year. Fantasy Pros has him ranked as the 36th running back of the week, and that's where I have him. Do not think you can slip Matt Breida, who's healthy and finally doesn't have a questionable tag on him, into a starting position anywhere on your daily fantasy team. Don't do it. Just don't. Next, we got Alvin Kamara. Guys, this one pains me in my heart, especially since Fantasy Pros has him at 6, and that was my football number. I am number 6. But look, I love Alvin. I really do. I mean, to me, he's one of the most talented and athletic running backs in the NFL. I love the guy coming out of college. I picked him up in all my fantasy leagues before he got good, and he won me 2 fantasy leagues last year single-handedly. But it's a tough matchup. You got to go somewhere else. He could still do his thing and put up a ton of points, but the Steelers actually do have a legit rush defense. So I would look somewhere else. And along those same lines, Gus Edwards and Lamar Miller. Those are both volume-based running backs, not superstars, not guys that are going to rip off chunk yardage runs, but volume-based running backs, guys that'll get you yardage and points because, well, they're volume. But this week, they're going against tough teams. So I don't care how many times they get the rock. They're not going to make a lot of splash plays or get the yards that they require. Rankings for Alvin Kamara. Number 6, like I said. Gus Edwards, number 24. And Lamar Miller, number 37. Can't read my own writing. It's somewhere down there. Wide receivers, guys, I got Keenan Allen, Robert Woods, Mike Evans, and Allen Robinson. You might be saying, why Mike Evans? He's the number 1. Why Keenan Allen? They've got really tough matchups, guys. I would not go there. Same with Robert Woods. And then last but not least, Allen Robinson might have been somebody you were thinking could be a value pick going against the lowly San Francisco 49ers. Don't look now, but the Niners have climbed to the number 12th rated pass defense in the NFL. Just goes to show you, pass defense doesn't really matter in a passing league, right? Seems crazy and bass-ackwards, but it's true. San Francisco 49ers will take care of Allen Robinson. Whether or not they take care of the Bears, that's a whole different story. All right, guys. That takes us out of fantasy and into the betting segment. Yes, I know all of you have been pining for it. It is finally here. Let's go through the betting segment together, shall we? Holding hands, skipping stones? Let's not get carried away. Let's just put on a little money music. I got a couple queued for you guys as last week things just got out of hand. Oh, yeah. Little AC/DC. No, I'm not that old. I enjoy the classics, guys. All right, first, These are my first look bets, guys. If you're not familiar with the program, get familiar with it. This is episode 15 already. Holy smokes. All right, first look means I went through and the first time I looked at all these bets, they jumped out at me immediately. We'll then go over our second take. Means I had to go through a second time. And then finally, I decided, yeah, maybe there's something there that I like. And then third glance means I had to go over it 3 times to find these guys. So basically means I'm just trying to give you options. I'm not even going to count the third glance bets towards my overall record. I'm just trying to give you guys at least minimum 10 options each week. Find me experts that give you 10 betting options each week. I don't believe it. On top of that, our average for the year is well over 500. Most experts are happy at 500. So, without further patting myself on the back here, we will start on our first look. And that brings us to the Niner game. Yes, you knew I was going there, didn't you? This is also where we're putting Moneyman X's money. Moneyman X's money is back up to 600. We won last week as we put it on the Vikings-Dolphins over. Knew that game was going to hit. Last week, by the way, as I scramble to get my record up here, in the betting segment, we went 5-5, so right at 500, and that is counting the third look. So we basically went 6-4. Carry the 2, yes. All right, so still not what I want, guys. Still not what I want. So let's bounce back. Here we go. Bears -4.5. The Niners are getting better point spread here because of the results of the last couple of weeks. Watch as the Niner plane and Nicky Mullins' train come crashing back down to earth. It is not going to happen. This is a Bears team that is legit, okay? This Bears team has something like 38 interceptions on the year or something crazy like that, okay? Vic Fangio is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. He will bring pressure with just his front 4. His whole philosophy is, if I can put pressure on the quarterback without having to blitz or bring an extra guy other than the first 4, I win. He will be able to do that. He will not have to bring extra guys to pressure. That will allow Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith, those Trevathan, all those speedy, amazing linebackers that they have to run freely, similar to how Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis used to play under Fangio. He will run the ideal defense against this Niner team and destroy them. Also, keep in mind, Shanahan is 0-3 against Vic Fangio ran defenses. He has 1 touchdown in those 3 matchups. In the others, he has scored a bunch of field goals. Yes, as I hold up the 3 sign like the Warriors do after every tray they make, go Golden State, they put up 3 points over and over and over. They field goaled the Bears to death last year when Jimmy G got his first start for the Niners and won that game. So, 1 touchdown in 3 games, 0-3 as a result against Vic Fangio ran defenses. I like the odds there for. I'm sorry, he must be 1-3, 1-2, 1-3 or 1. It's bad, guys. It's bad. Shanahan doesn't do well against Fangio ran defenses. All right, next on the first look, we got Seattle +3, guys. I expect Seattle to actually give this game a shot, or to play well in this game. On top of that, if you're giving me 3 points to the home team that's providing one of the hardest environments to play in, give me that team +3. It's as simple as that, guys. If the Chiefs win, I think they win by 3. So I'm either gonna cover or I'm gonna win this bet. I like Seattle +3. Next, still in first look, Redskins +10. Yes, I know, the Redskins. I told you, they'll come crashing back down to reality this week. We got a little Wayne here, Got Money featuring T-Pain. To mix it up for you guys, little money song here. Redskins +10. That's a lot of points, and that's a lot of points for a Texans team to cover. The Texans are a mid-range team. I haven't been able to nail down the type of team that they are all year. The bottom line is they don't put up a lot of points, and so if you're going to give me the Redskins +10 against what I think is a mediocre team in the Texans, I know it's in Tennessee, and I do fully anticipate the Texans winning. But I'll take the Redskins +10. I don't have to lay down a lot to get the value back there. Yeah. All right, guys, moving on. Second take. I got a lot of second take games for you guys. This means I had to take a second look through the bets. Vikings -6. I do believe that the Vikings will beat the Detroit Lions by more than 6. They are way better than the Lions. They are the best team coming out of that division. They should handle these Lions no problem. Then we got Houston plus 1.5, guys. This is similar to the Seattle game. If I think Houston's going to win the game, if you're going to give me points on top of that, I'll take the team that I think is going to win plus 1.5 points. Not a lot of points, but I would take them in a straight-up head-to-head pick 'em. So, Texans, I like them in that one. Wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles, give the Texans a run for their money and possibly win this game. But Deshaun Watson is harder to get on his back than a Jared Goff or guys like that. He's not a pocket passer. I mean, he is a pocket passer, but he has scrambling ability, guys. He's an athletic quarterback. Then we got the Panthers. Look, guys, if you've been following the Green Zone, you know that every time I bet on the Panthers, it has come back to burn me. I have not won once this entire year betting on the Panthers. So, maybe you just want to bet the opposite in this one. But the Panthers are the better team. They should win this game. So, Panthers, plus 3? Yeah, give me the Panthers. The Falcons, they're riddled with injury. Next, we got the Dolphins. Dolphins minus 3.5. Like I said, guys, I think the Jaguars have just given up. They're not playing for anything, and I think the Dolphins are playing for a little something. I know Adam Gase wants to show that he deserves to stay in this league, and he's an offensive genius, and blah, 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 blah. At the same time, Tannehill wants to show that when the Dolphins do have him back and healthy, he's worth keeping along and signing for a long-term contract. Dolphins minus 3.5. That's not a lot to cover. They could potentially wipe the turf with the Jaguars here. So 3.5. Give me the Dolphins. And then finally, Saints minus 6.5. Look, I've ridden the Saints all year. They've won me a lot of money this year. I'm going to continue to do it. Minus 6.5 is kind of a lot of points, guys. But I really think this is a bad matchup for the Steelers, and it's not nationally televised. So I don't know if the NFL will try to keep it close or not. They usually like to do that in nationally televised games like a Sunday night or a Monday night or a Thursday night game. This is not one of those. So give me the Saints minus 6.5. And then finally, guys, third glance picks. I got the Colts minus 9. That's a lot of points for the Colts to cover. It's a definite letdown spot. Letdown type game for the Colts. They've got a lesser opponent coming into their home after a huge win against a stronger opponent in the Cowboys. It's definitely setting up for a letdown game, so 9 points is a lot to cover, but the Colts should. They're that much better. I mean, talent-wise, they should cover that 9-point spread. I'm also going to give you a point spread here. We've got the under in the Steelers-Saints game. Guys, the over-under is sitting at 53. That's a lot of points. And I realize the NFL has pulled back. Now they could rope-a-dope us and go back to allowing them to play offensive game again. If I went over last week's point totals, you guys would be stunned at how low a bunch of different point totals were. If I just give you some here real quick, bear with me. Last week, here are some of the totals. All right, we'll skip the Thursday night game. Texans 29, Jets 22, Browns 17, Broncos 16, Cardinals 14, Falcons 40, Raiders 16, Bengals 30, Dolphins 17, Vikings 41, Cowboys 0, Colts 23, Buccaneers 12, Ravens 20, Lions 13, Bills 14, Packers 17, Bears 24, Titans 17, Giants 0, Redskins 16, Jaguars 13, Patriots 10, Steelers 17, Saints 12, Panthers 9. There's a couple more guys, but you get the point, right? The bottom line is that they're finally allowing them to play defense, just like I predicted would happen in, I don't know, week 12, episode 11 of the Green Zone. It finally happened. So it's happened a couple weeks in a row now. If you haven't really been paying attention. So there is a possibility that we could, come back and get some offensive games here just to throw us off and keep winning money for Vegas. But 53 points is a lot of points no matter what. I expect the Saints to win. I don't expect a lot from the Steelers. I'll take the under in that one. Finally, guys, we got the Chargers minus 4.5. Look, I think the Chargers are a way better team than the Baltimore Ravens. I don't like the style that the Ravens play. I think it's impressive, and that's something that we're going to talk about next segment under the topics, is the job that Harbaugh has done there. But it's all based completely on the run game. And the Chargers, they're top 10 in both rush defense and pass defense. So no matter how Harbaugh wants to try to finagle his way through getting some offensive production this week, I just don't see it happening against this Chargers team who is rolling right now. I think the Chargers want to win out so that they can win the division and hopefully get a little help by the Chiefs losing, possibly this week against Seattle, to get that number 1 seed It is important for the Ravens too, and it's why it's a big game, and it'll be tough, for either team. But I don't know. It's third glance pick anyway. I say Chargers minus 4.5. Somebody's gonna win that game. All right, guys. So those of you tuning in on YouTube, flip over to the Podbean. I'm your host, Jimmy Havener. As always, the Podbean is a free app. You can download it, then go under the search and look for The Green Zone, all one word, and you'll find me right there. And all my other episodes, you'll see that I've been making and predicting winners for weeks now, getting you into that green zone to make that green. So as always, thank you for watching, you beautiful, beautiful viewers.